Hello everyone, it's me Clayton. I just finished watching episode 7 of season 3 of The Mandalorian. Even though most of the season has been pretty up and down in terms of quality, I do think that this penultimate episode of the season is the best one yet. At least for season 3. As we get to see all the storylines converge, and as we get to see a long-feared antagonist returning in a very good role. But let's get to the story, shall we? Moff Gideon, played once again by Giancarlo Esposito, has devised a plan to get rid of the Mandalorians once and for all, by basically using the fact that they're all uniting against them. As Bo-Katan and the Mandalorian head over to Mandalore to retake the Great Forge, and as Grogu gets to use the IG-11 body to basically give himself a little mech to use, the Mandalorians all manage to run into a bit of trouble. Not only are some of the new Mandalorians not getting along with the old guard, but a monster destroys the ship they're on, which forces the Mandalorians to head into the underground, where it turns out Moff Gideon has prepared quite a trap for them. And I do appreciate that Moff Gideon's trap does have some good thought to it. He's used the resources from Mandalore to forge Beskar armor for his troops, which makes them a lot tougher and more resistant to blaster fire. He uses the base to separate all the Mandalorians so he can pick off some of them individually. And he even manages to account for most of what the Mandalorians would do. Even though Bo-Katan would never give up the Darksaber so easily, I do appreciate that he has brought in more than just a typical Beskar troopers, because they have harder armor, but the typical tactics that we're used to from stormtroopers, which is to say that they still get taken out pretty easily by our named characters. But this is also a really good showing for Paz Vizsla. As he decides to stay behind and take out a lot of troopers along with him to make sure that the other Mandalorians can escape. I'm a sucker for the heroic sacrifice trope, and it's handled pretty well here, especially considering that Jon Favreau himself voices the character, and he does give a pretty solid performance if this is meant to be his final episode, which by all accounts looks like it's going to be. I liked Paz ever since the first season, so it's a good idea to have him have his big moment right before we end the season. And of course, Giancarlo Esposito as Moff Gideon is really fun. Full of arrogance, full of grandstanding charisma, and of course, his reveal as a villain is pretty typical when it comes to the Star Wars universe, but at the same time, the actor who plays Moff Gideon really helps. While the season has been a little all over the place, and it does feel like certain plot points wouldn't match up with everything else that's going on in the season, this feels like it's the episode that really brings everything together, along with having great action, great emotional moments, and a great reveal of how this whole season is coming along when it comes to all its different parts. So hopefully the finale is able to end things on a satisfying note. It's definitely not the best season of The Mandalorian, but I think it is gelling into something that was worth watching. See you next time.